evening, everyone. I warmly welcome all of you to Building Your Career with AI and Data Science webinar. This is organized by the Computer Science Students Association of University of Kelaniya. I'm Sakuni Tilakaratna, your moderator for the day. The Computer Science Students Association is one of the most dynamic student bodies in the University of Kelaniya and is the pioneer academic association in the Faculty of Computing and Technology. Giving you a brief description about who we are, as per the faculty's vision of becoming a center of excellence in creating and propagating the knowledge in computing and technology for sustainable development, the Computer Science Students Association was formed as a student body with the aim of enhancing an undergraduate's potential by organizing a wide spectrum of activities and events that would help them grow. So, coming to today's session, our intelligence is what makes us human, and artificial intelligence is an extension of that quality. AI and data science are both fields with increasing popularity and promising career potential. The goal of this webinar is to provide insight on differentiating AI and data science in terms of industry, its technology, building a career in AI and data science, research, and graduate studies based on the two pathways. Before moving on with today's session, let me take pleasure in introducing our guest speaker, a PhD researcher in deep learning, computer vision, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. He's a content creator, a Microsoft MVP in AI, and a deep learning enthusiast with experience as a corporate employee and an intelligent application developer. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Haritha Tilakaratna. If I would add to this, if you have any questions or clarification during the discussion, feel free to put them in the chat box or ask them directly. I'm sure Mr. Haritha would be happy to answer your questions for you. Mr. Haritha, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Sakuni. Thank you very much for the introduction, and wish you all a very good evening. And it's my pleasure to get a chance to share my experiences with artificial intelligence and data science. And it would be great if I have the chance to share the screen. I guess the host need to get me in as a co-host, might be. Yeah, till the thing is going on. So I'll explain how the session is going to be. This is not going to be a typical lecture that we're going to go for in the normal routines. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a discussion on artificial intelligence and data science, and how we're going to build a career on that, and what sort of opportunities that we have on this field, plus the things that we need to learn and things that we need to consider about when it comes to artificial intelligence and data science. And in the end of the lecture, in end of the session, what we're going to do is we're going to have an idea on how the graduate studies or the higher studies is going to happen on this particular area. And if you have any problem, just ping us on the chat. So I'm going to open up my chat window in the second screen, so I can see how the chat's going on, so I can answer them directly there, or I'll answer them at the end. So feel free to put the questions in the chat window, or else you can put a raise hand and then ask by your own. So I'm okay with Sinhalese and English. Pardon, bear with me, I'm not good with Tamil. So I may have the ability to use a translator if you have any questions that you're going to ask from me on Tamil. Right. A little bit about me. I'm a graduate researcher attached for La Trobe University with collaboration with Australian Institute of Sport, AIS. So my research is going forward with deep learning and computer vision plus sports analytics. That's kind of like an interesting combination where we research on how to apply deep learning techniques on analyzing sports. I'm working as an independent consultant in data science and machine learning for various startups and companies, plus blogging, and I'm contributing as a Microsoft MVP in AI. So that's all about me. Uh, yeah, when it in my session, I'm not going to cover up the things about how the AI is going on, and how these uh, why the AI is having an hype and all those things, because we all know why the AI is having an hype, and we have been there, and we have seen all these applications that you see in the screen have been powered by AI things. When it comes to the autonomous cars or the Google Home devices that you have in your home, or maybe the Boston Dynamics robots that you have seen in the videos, these are all powered by AI. Plus the hand phone that you're using, the mobile phone, the assistant that you have on your mobile phone, plus the face recognition that you use on the mobile phone, is powered with some AI or machine learning application. And this Dota 2 is one of the pretty interesting things that I normally talk about, because Dota 2 is known as one of the most popular esports out there, if you are esport fan. So recently there was an application developed that has beaten the world Dota 2 champion by just using an AI. So AI, or the machine learning algorithms, has came a very big way towards the intelligence that we have seen today. So I'll just give this brief idea why this data science is a multidisciplinary, or like we say, we have to know many things in order to come to the field of AI or the data science. So data science consists of mainly three parts: the computer science aspect, plus the mathematics and statistics, and the domain and the business knowledge. If you want to become like a very good data scientist or a machine learning engineer, you definitely have to have a good idea about all these three aspects. So this is where we normally put ourselves in a trouble, where in some cases we have the ability in computer science, but we are not that good with maths and statistics. So in order to become a good data scientist or a machine learning
Recording in
engineer, you
progress.
to uh, definitely have to have a good idea on all those three aspects. So this is one area, that domain and business knowledge is an area we normally neglect, but that is very important, because the data that we normally work with or normally getting used to is the data that coming from the real world applications. Think of think of a post system that running on a department store like Food City or Cargill's or something. So the data that we're getting from that application, if in order to analyze those data, you need to have a domain in business, or like you need to have kind of like an understanding how the business is going on. So that's the place where many people are struggling with. So I would say all these three aspects are very much important when it comes to becoming a good machine learning and a data science uh, professional. Right. This slide, I have been talking about this slide a lot in my previous sessions too. So this AI thing is not a new aspect. I would say it has been used more like a marketing term for quite decades, because the term of AI came back in like 1950s, where people were thinking about building machines where they can think and get decisions. That is the era where that Alan Turing has made the famous Turing test, where he explained and defined how AI can be defined and AI can be identified. Back in like 1950s, people were building conceptual algorithms on learning with data. That means how the machines can learn the patterns of data and get decisions from that. But like the core structure of machine learning algorithms came to the picture in like 1980s. So I would say the AI is like the big picture. Machine learning is just a part of that. So in 1980s, these machine learning algorithms got their birth, but it came a long way to use these algorithms in real world applications. What made that that long is because the computing power that we had on that time was not enough to process that much of big data. But like in 2010 or like that in 2000s, we have the ability to use the cloud computing plus the GPUs or the graphical processing unit or the multiprocessing. And then people thought of, okay, we had the applications or the machine learning algorithms that we have developed in a conceptual way back in like 1980s. What if we use them with this processing power that we have? So it gave the birth for deep learning or the deep neural networks. So it is the place now we are standing on. So, like, make in your mind, AI is not just about deep learning. AI is a very big term. We have many AI algorithms out there, including like genetic algorithms and all. So inside this AI, we have this machine learning, the subsection. Inside machine learning, deep learning or the deep neural networks is a very small subsection that makes a very big potential. Though this part is very small, it has been proven it is going to be the future, and it is going to be the way that we're going to do AI in the future too. Right. So that's all about the theories and all. So I'm just moving out from there, and I'm just going to go directly for the things that we uh, going to like talk today. So one of the main key things that we need to identify, what is the difference between data science and data analytics? I guess most of the students that we have today here is from third years and fourth years, right? Am I correct?
Yeah, Mr. Aditya.
Yeah, right. Cool. So I guess you have done most of your theories on data science or data mining on those things. So uh, one of the main differences that we have in data science and data analytics, because data analytics was there for quite a big time. People were doing data analytics. People were dealing with data a lot. But when it comes to this, the main difference we see here, when it comes to data analytics, we were most focused on making visualizations and dealing with some BI tools like Power BI and those things, and designing principles. And the big data that we have used there was mostly structured. That means mostly in relational ways, mostly stored in SQL databases or some sort of structured or relational database structures. But when it comes to data science, we are more working towards data modeling and predictive analytics. It is not just an extension that we get from statistics. We are working a lot with real world applications, not just modeling the data and making real world predictions in real world intelligent applications. In this case, we are using big data also, but the main difference here in data science is we get the relational data like normally stored in SQL databases, whatnot. But some of, or like most of the data that we get there is in unstructured format, whether it's going to be a text or whether it's going to be something with images or might be on video. So that is one of the major differences that we see on data analytics and data science. Right. So that is all about the difference between data science and data analytics. And you may wonder, okay, we talked about data science and data analytics. What's about this machine learning thing? Where this machine learning engineer is going to fit? So I'm going to talk on those things in my next slides, how this machine learning thing is going on and why these machine learning engineers and where these guys are going to fit in the industry. So it's something like this. So we have the data scientist who have been working there with the data and making models out there. But when it comes to making those models into production or making those models available on the real world applications, that's another process. We have to have a built pipeline that align with normal software engineering aspects too. In that case, machine learning engineers comes to the picture, where we have the ability of having a good knowledge on data science plus the computing aspects and the software engineering aspects in some ways. So that is the place where we have to have the ability to deal along with the like normal software development life cycle plus our machine learning or the data science life cycle all together, right? That's all about the things that we have, and the differences on those things. And I would like get an I would tell, like I would just explain some of the job positions right now we have in the industry, and some of the differences of these job positions when it comes to the technologies that we have to use and all. Then we can see where you're going to fit in and what sort of things that you are fond of, because this is a very vast field, right? So and the next thing is, so these job descriptions or the professions that I'm going to mention might be changed, and the way people use these terms differ, like differentiate from one another in many places. So in some companies they use this term, and in some companies they use another term for the same job they are doing, right? So so any questions so far? So you can just type it out, like no question is a dumb question, so you can just type it out, any question that you have. Cool. Since there are no questions, so I'll just explain how this data and the jobs related to data came a long way. So in the past days, where I mean, like 5 6 years back, we had the name the database administrators. Like maybe like 20 years back also we had that name, data. Yeah, okay. So we I have a question here asking what is the best way to start your career as. So yeah, so I'm gonna answer these questions. So uh we had the database administrators. Database administrators were administrating the databases, as the name implies. What they have been doing was like normally in any ERP application or any application, you have the SQL databases, MySQL databases, or PostgreSQL, anything was there. And what was there was like just to administrate how the CRUD operations are going on, how the like SQL query is going on. And if it is going to be a very big data structure, then you might have to do data warehousing, and you may have to do data indexing, and you may have to do data backupping, raids, and all those things were there. That was the job of the database administrator. In some cases, database administrators were dealing with the software engineers for writing the stored procedures, where they help them to write the SQL codes or the SQL scripts to get the data wiggle around, right? So that was about the database administrators. And then that role slightly moved for data engineers. So data engineer is a guy who's working with the databases, plus in his scope he has to deal with structured data plus the unstructured data, and in some cases big data too. So normally when it comes to the data engineer role that we have in a normal industry, uh, they are dealing with the technologies like SQL, and they are dealing with some big data applications like HDFS file systems, HD Insight. So those are the things those guys are working towards with. So those are the data and data engineers. With that, we have the other people who are with data analyst, or like people who analyze the data. In some cases, these data analysts are from a computer science background, or might be from a statistics background. So what these data analysts are doing are they are getting the data from the data engineers, and they mostly do the visualizations or some kind of small predictions based on the visualizations that they have. The tools they have used was Power BI and Tableau, might be Excel, might be SPSS, and those things. In some cases, data analyst has been using the languages like R or Python also. So that's a case where the data analysts were going on. And when it comes to a data scientist, they are getting a step forward than the normal typical data analyst. So what they do is they are dealing with the data engineer, get the data, and they make predictive models with that. In that case, data scientists are mostly using R or Python, and the language. Uh, Mostly what they do is they are they are mostly working towards with building predictive models. So that is about the data scientist. And then when it comes to a machine learning engineer, they are mostly working towards with uh, unstructured data plus the structured data, mostly with unstructured data in a very big format like imagery data and video or text and whatnot, those things. But the major difference in machine learning engineer is he's having a very good understanding in computer science too, because in those cases he may have to work with Docker, Kubernetes, the Flask APIs, and those things to deploy their models in real world applications. So in the current industry, many people are using the cloud based platforms. So in cloud based platforms like Azure, AWS, GCP, so they have these machine learning platforms that we can use the thing. So machine learning engineers should have a knowledge on these things, right? So I'm going to answer some of the questions I have here. So what is the best way to start your career as? That totally depends on you and the opportunities that you have. I would say starting as a data scientist or a data analyst is a good idea. But if you want to move forward into a machine learning engineer, definitely you have to uh, do your self studies on software, like software engineering aspects that is related to machine learning or like data science. So like starting over as a data analyst or a data like an amateur data scientist would be a good idea. All right. Yeah, so I guess that that answers my like second question too. Yeah. I'm a student doing applied data science communication as my degree. Into or yeah, I'm going to say how the degree and the field is going to difference. And I have another question asking, will Lisp would ever come back? Uh, I I'm not sure whether Lisp is going to come back, but I have seen Scala is coming back. It's getting its face, so the language like Scala would come back with the big data boom and all. Alright. සම්බන්ධ වෙන කුමන වයස් මට්ටමේ අයද there's කිසිම restriction එකක් නෑ වයස් මට්ටමට ඕන වයස් මට්ටම කෙනෙක්ට මේක data science එක සම්බන්ධ වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Right. What does the future hold for statistics and operational research? So yeah, that's a very interesting question. Uh, in operational research and statistics, we have been doing optimizing as well as some statistical models. But I have seen what has been doing in the industry is most of these statistical techniques has moved into this data science field, and the predictive models that we have built with statistics, like we'll say time series forecasting and simple linear regression analysis kind of things, has moved into data science. Since like we don't need anyone just to make a report for us and just like just sitting on a paper. We need those things to run on real world applications. So I would say the future would be these operational research problems, and statistics would also just merge with data science aspects. Right. Another question is going to be data and the difference between data analysis and business analysis. Yeah, business analysis is different in that case. What we're doing is we are analyzing the business, and we are identifying the functional and non-functional requirements of that business that we need to address from our application development or from the solution that we are providing. But in data analysis, it is not the case. It is about analyzing the data and getting some insights out of the data. Right. Yeah. So another question is, what is Julia? Yeah, Julia is a language that has been there, and it has given the birth. It has been working with R. I don't think Julia would come back, because when it comes to the languages, mostly Python is getting into the phase. Like it is already in the phase, and R is there, but mostly with the statistics approaches. Right. Uh, so I'm going to move forward, and I'm going to read the questions after this, because we have some things to discuss, and most of the questions might be answered from here. As I said previously, how to get into this? What are the things that we need to know? Yeah, the first thing, you need to be good with languages or the programming paradigms. So the languages that I would mostly recommend is Python or R. From this, I would mostly recommend Python, because Python has been there in the industry for a while in many domains, not only in data science but also in web development and API development, scripting, many things. So Python is a pretty easy language that you can follow forward with, and I would say would you must know one of these languages to move forward with data science or the machine learning aspect. Right. When it comes to Python, you may ask what sort of things I need to know and what sort of things I need to follow. So these are some of the libraries like you need to know in Python, because in Python there are many libraries or the many packages out there. So there are very like these are very few most important libraries that you may have to know. Pandas, SciPy, scikit-learn, matplotlib for visualizations, NumPy is for normal just numerical operations, plus Jupyter notebooks. So I have seen most of the in most of the cases still they use Jupyter notebooks, and even in the industry where you have to analyze the data and build simple models, many people are using Jupyter notebooks. So I would say for a start, Jupyter notebooks is a very good place to start forward with. Yeah. So moving from the traditional machine learning paradigm, and when it comes to the deep learning paradigm, there are plenty of libraries out there. Deep when it comes to the deep learning or the deep neural networks, starting from TensorFlow and other things like Torch, Theano, and all. But from these things, I would say TensorFlow and PyTorch is the most popular out there. And TensorFlow is from Google, PyTorch is from Facebook Research. So I have seen recently, yesterday, the Facebook developer conference was there, and I was like just attending there with some talks, and it is pretty interesting to see how the PyTorch is grabbing the space, and how this PyTorch framework is coming forward as the main deep learning framework that they use in Facebook, as well as in the platforms like Microsoft. So yeah, I would say if you want to move forward in the deep learning, TensorFlow or the PyTorch would be uh, your deep learning frameworks to choose. And if you're going for like studies or higher studies in deep learning, I would rather recommend going with PyTorch, because most of the researchers coming in are going forward with PyTorch. Right. Uh, so the technologies. So you like sorry. So you may wonder like these are most of the technologies that we are using and we right now have in the industry that we need to know and we need to uh, get our hands dirty on. But definitely it is not a very easy thing or a thing that we can do to get used to all these technologies and the tools. So but the good thing is most of the technologies that we have here are similar, and we can build the things if we know the basics better. As an example, we'll say you know your Python very well, and you know your scikit-learn, and you know your matplotlib very well, and starting over with PyTorch and building a deep learning neural network is not that hard. And if you want to get this thing into cloud platform like Amazon or maybe Microsoft Azure, is not that hard if you know your basics in Python. So that's all about that. So the tools and technologies totally depends on the company or the industry that you are working on with. So that totally depends on the technology that you have to work on there. As an example, I was working in Sri Lanka with a leading Microsoft solution provider, which was building document management systems. So their data was sitting on SQL databases, and we had to build some NLP applications on top of that. In that case, we had to use Azure Machine Learning, but the backend that we have used there was on our language, and some of the applications were developed with Python. So uh, the languages and the frameworks differ in many places, and in some cases we develop applications that run on AWS as web services. So that totally depends on the need that the client or the company is having. Right. Uh, and another thing many people ask is, okay, we know the tools and all, and we need to cover up the technology, like the theoretical aspects of machine learning, where to start and how to start. So I strongly recommend to go forward with an online course like this, this is from Stanford. The most famous machine learning course out there would be Machine Learning by Andrew Ng. So I would say go forward and do an online course like this, because personally in my career I did my degree in ICT uh, from Rajarati University, and then after that we only had very few courses on intelligent applications and intelligent systems and those things. We didn't had like any particular course calling about data science and all back in like 2014 and sorry 15. So what I did was following some online courses like this machine learning from Stanford, and I did a course in MIT too, as I remember, yeah, from MIT. So those are the places I got the theoretical knowledge. So if you are really interested in the field machine learning and data science, no need of having a degree, even like no need of having kind of like a proper degree that names applied data science or something like that. What you need to know is you need to know your theories and the things. By just you can know these things by just following an online course and getting the theories into your head. Right. Yeah. So the next things is about how to get into the industry and what sort of things that we need in the industry. So when it comes to the industry in data science and machine learning, they value these certifications a lot, even more than the degrees. So I have seen most of the major companies now providing these certifications. So this is the Microsoft certification path where they have this data scientist role and the AI engineer role. So I would say if you want to go forward into the industry and start a career in data science or as an AI engineer, you better look on these certifications and follow these certifications would be a great advantage if you want to enter the industry. So this is the Microsoft certification path, and AWS is also having a specialty in machine learning, uh, and Google also having their certificate, Google Professional Machine Learning Engineer certification. So these things are very crucial and very important if you want to get into the industry. I would say you do the degree uh, in computer science, IT, information systems, you name it. There are many degree programs out there now. But if you are a guy who's having that done some online courses properly, I mean, and have a good record on Kaggle or some data science platform, and have done something with a certification like this, would end up in a good place rather than just going out to the industry just with the degree. Right. So I'm gonna, yeah. So I'll just go through all my content that I have and then go through there. So the the next part I'm going to talk forward is with what sort of things that you can do with artificial intelligence or the machine learning and data science in your final year research or the final year project. What sort of things that you can do there? What I have seen so far in most of the cases in some universities, even they tell, okay, for your final year research or the final year project, you should have a component from AI. So what the people do is they just get a data set and do some analysis, do some simple linear regression, and boom, they say this is AI. Guys, please don't do that. So AI or the machine learning is a very big vast field. So starting from normal object tracking that I have seen here, or like the places like GAN where you generate some images out from the prevailing images, and some real world applications where you can use computer vision to identify the people who's wearing mask or no, not with a mask. Those are some real world and some important applications that you can develop. So don't just go forward with just getting a data set and doing some analysis. Just think out of the box and get some interesting thing into your table. Yeah. That is the same with here. I talked about computer vision mostly, but when it comes to the other part, mostly that people are working forward with is natural language processing. If you just search BERT, you can see how that big natural language models that we have today has changed the industry in a very drastic manner. So natural language processing is also a very good area that you can get your research going on. So how to build some intelligent conversation applications, how to understand the text that you have on your normal books. Those things are very interesting things that you can research on. And another thing that coming up is having these machine learning and computer vision things on medical image processing. Many people has been doing researches on this with traditional computer vision applications previously, that shift and those things. But now people are moving forward with deep learning, deep neural networks for doing these medical researches kind of things. Right. And you may wonder, okay, is that the only thing? Like just getting images and natural language processing is the only thing that we can do on the final year research? Nah, there are many things out there. So think of like smart agriculture, where you predict the fertilizer amount that you have to put on for a particular crop based on the weather that you have. Those things are pretty good applications and widely used in the industry. So building this kind of practical things are the places that you need to take your eye on. Yeah, you may wonder, right? Okay, we need to build very big applications or very complex systems in order to leverage this power of AI or the machine learning, and we need to impress our supervisors and all. No, just think of a simple application where you grab your mobile phone and capture a text you have on your on a paper, and we'll say that paper is containing a bill or an invoice, and just reading that invoice and finding the value that you have to pay. So that is a very simple application that you can build, but will make a very big difference when it comes to the real world situations. So these are very simple places that you can think and you can plan forward with. Yeah. So before like going for the questions and answers, I'll explain what are the things that we do in our research lab, where we do Applied Technology and Innovation Hub at AIS. What we do is we use computer vision and many machine learning interventions in order to analyze sports. When it comes to sports, we are working with many sort of sports, starting from group sports like soccer, volleyball, netball, and the individual sports like tennis too. So we analyze the poses of players, and we analyze how their poses change over time, and whether that is going to be the perfect way to play that particular sport, because sports is a million or a billion-dollar industry out there. So we need this kind of interventions in order to get a competitive advantage in the international field. So you like in the near future, you may see many these kind of applications like AI and machine learning based applications will be there in sports industry and in even Olympics. You may have the ability to see these kind of interventions out there. Right. So yeah, research areas. uh, I talked that when it comes to the research areas, you don't have to think of very big things, or the things that you may wonder that uh, like we have to do. So these are some research areas that just came to my mind when it comes to the things that you can do with AI and all. One thing is large text corpuses like BERT and all. What are the things that you can do for that? And semi-supervised learning. You have seen when it comes to the data labeling, which is a very crucial and very time-consuming task. So if we have the ability to do not just supervised learning, but having the ability to do semi-supervised learning for big data sets, that would be a very good thing to research on. And think of an application where you have only one image that you need to classify. So like when it comes to image classification, one of the major needs is you have to have thousands or hundred thousands of images to train your model. But what if we can train a model just by 5 images or just by one image, one shot learning and few shot learning. So those are some interesting research areas that you can uh, look on for your final year research. GANs, general adversarial networks, and AI on the edge. I know most of the people here are interested in AI, like IoT applications. So one a very cool thing that you can do is you can have your IoT knowledge combined forward with machine learning and make this AI available on the edge. So in that case, you have to think of how to make this model optimized for running on simple Raspberry Pi or maybe on an Arduino. Those things are very interesting things to try it out. Graph networks with deep learning. So, like when it comes to chemistry and all, graph networks is a very interesting thing to look on, and even in operational research. So there has been a very big hype going on how to use these graph networks with deep learning. Those things are called graph neural networks or GCNs, or graph convolutional networks. So that is a place where you can do your research on. Reinforcement learning. And another thing is ethics in AI. Ethics in AI is all about like when it comes to AI applications that we have today, most of the things use the personal data, and most of the cases we grab the data from people. So in those cases, we may have to have an idea how these things going to work, and how the ethical concerns are going to place in this AI space. And you have seen in the past days, Facebook, Google, and those guys has to worry a lot about the data regulations put with the governments, like GDPR regulations and all. So uh, that's a very good research area that you can go forward with, how you can manage these ethics and ethical concerns when it comes to AI and machine learning applications. And the other thing is biasness and interpretability. So you might have seen when it comes to your mobile face recognition and all, they work very well with white Caucasian people, but not working well with the people with color like us. So how to make these AI models not biased with the people with color, or like how to interpret these models are very good research areas that you can work forward with. Right. When it comes to the higher studies or the graduate studies, sorry. So when it comes to this field, AI and machine learning is a very vast field. So if you want to do your higher studies in this field, I would rather recommend to choose directly one area to work forward with, whether it is going to be computer vision or reinforcement learning, or maybe in NLP, and choose an area like that. And then you can find out who are the supervisors, or the who are the professors working on that particular area, and what are the universities and what are the research institutes that we are working on this particular area, and you can write it out for them. Or else you can apply for from their websites where they have published on their PhD opportunities or the graduate study opportunities out there. And one thing I would say, if you're going to move for this graduate studies in this particular area, you have to have good grades. Obviously you have to have a good GPA in your bachelor's, plus you have to have good research publications. Make sure to publish your research that you do on your bachelor's. Plus another thing is you have to have very good coding skills, maintain a very good GitHub, maintain your LinkedIn profile, and those are the things that going to make you shine out of the rest. And do your online courses, do a certifications. It is same as going for a job. Don't just think of these graduate studies are just academic stuff. You have to like uh, make sure you are getting ready for a job or a profession that's in the data science and the machine learning field, if you're going for this academia in this field too. Because this is just not just reading papers and writing something, some theoretical concept like that. This is a very practical field, so you have to definitely be good at coding and all. So that's the advice that I can give with the graduate studies. So if you like want to know the places that we how to apply for the universities and those things. So I don't think this is like I have time to cover up all those things, but I'll definitely share some links that I have written where you can read it out and see what sort of things and what sort of things that you can do in order to apply for these scholarships and those things. That's a totally different thing when it comes to applying scholarships and all. Right, now the Q&A time. So in this case, I have a URL here, so I'll just try to open up this thing. And I'll just share this. If you have any question, like if you have any questions, you can just uh, put there, but I'll get some time to answer here. And if you have any feedback also, you can just use that form to give your feedback. uh, Give me a second. So I'm going to answer the questions that you have forwarded for me. Share my screen. Yeah. So there are many questions out there. So give me some time to find out the questions that I have answers. Uh, yeah, I answered about Julia and like what sort of things that you need to do. Like Julia is how the Julia language, and I don't think that's going to be there. What should a student doing data science for degree can enter the like as I said previously, if you're doing a degree on data science, the things that you have to do is, as I said, do your self learning on the theories, as well as do some certifications, plus make sure you do some self experiments too. Uh, right. Okay. I have a question. I have been working as an intern in full stack development, studying Python, data science for 5 months now. May I? All right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you can personally contact me. Information system degree holder connector. Yeah. Information systems degree holder connector data science පැත්තට එන්න පුළුවන්. කිසි ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. එතනදි කරන්න පුළුවන් දේ තමයි ඔයාට self learn කරන්න වෙනවා Python වගේ දේවල්. ඒත් එක්කම අර මම කිව්ව දේවල් ගොඩක් self learn කරගත්තොත් ඔයාට මේ කිසි ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැතුව data science පැත්තට එන්න පුළුවන්. What is the fastest way to career as a business analyst? First intern as the data analyst. Right, fastest way කියලා එකක් නැහැ මම හිතන විදිහට. කරන්න තියෙන්නේ අපේ ප්‍රොෆයිල් එක හොඳට හදාගන්න එක. ඒත් එක්කම ඔයාට හොඳ තනියම කරපු experiments ගොඩක් තියෙනවා GitHub එකේ. ඒත් එක්කම Kaggle වගේ තැනක. So that will definitely give you an advantage when it comes to the industry and applying for a position in the industry. The other question is following computer science and applied statistics both in my degree program, better to specialize in statistics, computer science, or better to do a master's in data science? That totally depends on you. So I would say if you have a plan to do your higher studies, always that is better to do a 4-year degree. That means a specialization. And then going for a master's or maybe an MPhil would be a good idea. So I would say doing a 4-year degree values a lot. Working in an industry as Java developer, but AI use R or Python. I can yeah, if you want to change your path to AI, I would say the best place is to get some normal pet projects and do the things, and just find out some places like Kaggle to experiment whether your knowledge can be applied in a practical way. So that would be the best way to switch your career from a software development aspect into the AI. Yeah. Can we use scikit-learn to in the industry? Can we use scikit-learn to import libraries for models like SVM? Yeah, definitely. We use that thing a lot because we are not like when it comes to the industry, like that's not difference. So we are not developing from the scratch. We use the libraries from the places like scikit-learn, obviously. Is Python only enough for data science? I would say no. No, you have a very big tech stack to follow up with. Like you need to know your SQL, and in some cases you may have to know about REST APIs, and you may have to know about Docker. Yeah, that doesn't mean like Python is the only thing that you need to know. I'm working as a automation QA and doing the masters in data science. Can do my transition in the industry. Yeah, you if you want to you do the transition in the industry, yeah, you have to start from the associate level, I would say. I don't think you may have to do the intern level because you have the basic concepts of computing. So that's you can start from associate level. Can I know about reinforcement learning? Yeah, reinforcement learning is the aspect where you learn from the experience. That means learns from rewards. That is the basic concepts behind that. Uh, the simple explanation I can give forward with reinforcement learning, it is all about with how a kid is learning. We show something for the kid, we'll say we show an elephant for the kid and say, okay, putar ali, and then if he get to know that thing, and in the next time if that kid is telling, okay, that is an elephant, we give him a reward, we tell him, okay, good boy, something like that. That is the same way that reinforcement learning working. So that is letting the computer to take decisions. If the computer taking a good decision or a right decision, it is rewarding that. And if it is not getting the right decision, it is giving a penalty or the bounty. So with that, by over the time, the computer has the ability to learn from the rewards that they are getting. uh, right. How we can contact you, so I'll share my contact details in the next slide. uh, what are the differences between AI and Arduino? Yeah, those are two different things. Arduino is an IoT device. AI is the thing that we normally talk, and we have talked in this session. Is it a valid qualification having completed online courses by deeplearning.ai? Obviously, yes. Deeplearning.ai is a place which is very reputed. Uh, how about the salary as a beginner? Yeah, that I don't know. That means that depends with the company that you are working with, and uh, I'm not having a very good idea about the salaries in Sri Lanka right now. uh, what are good projects to enhance the knowledge based on machine learning? Yes, as I said previously, Kaggle is a very good place. So I strongly recommend Kaggle. Are these courses free? Some of the courses are free, but for some courses, in order to get the certificate, you have to pay. uh, can I tell a bit about this industry in Sri Lanka? Are these career opportunities only available also? No, in Sri Lanka there are many opportunities for data science and machine learning. I have been working with some of the industry clients back in Sri Lanka, but the thing they are telling is we have many people who are coming out from degrees, and they tell we have done data science degree in this university and that and all, but they don't have the practical aspect. So yeah, there are many opportunities out there in Sri Lanka, but the thing is, you have to have the right skill set in order to match with the industry. I have a question regarding final year research. If you don't have much knowledge in AI machine learning, so we can do brush up knowledge within a very limited. Yeah, yeah, like third year. Yeah, no worries. You can start your self learning now. So do your self learning for like 4-5 hours a day. Yep, you're good to go with your final year research. Yeah, free courses with certificates. Yes, as I said previously, most of the courses you have on Coursera and Udemy are free. But if you want to get the certificate, you may have to pay there. Uh, if you want to pursue a PhD in an Australian university in computer engineering directly after BSc, yeah. So for that, I would say for getting a PhD in Australian university directly after the BSc, you have to have a 4-year degree with obviously a first class and some research publications, plus some industry experience with a proven knowledge on the computing aspects in the field. So personally, in my case, I had some research publications plus 2+ years uh, experience when I applied for my PhD. The experience was on data science and those aspects, and I had some good track record with coding and all. So that is a very that is a very I would say that is the way to apply directly for a scholarship out here in Australia. Uh, right. Okay. Yeah, I have another question about chatbots. So I would say like just ping me personally, so I'll answer that because that answer may be a bit long. Uh, yeah, Microsoft certification path that I have showed. What you can do is if you just search Microsoft certification path, you can see the path here. So this is the path I have shown there. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Okay. Uh, should you have experience to work as a data science intern because you right? Okay. Yeah, I would say in some companies they ask us to work as a data science intern, but or else they just put towards so the associate level. I would say that totally depends on your skill set plus the self learning things that you have done. So I know some of the people who have been learning these things while they are doing their degree by their own, do self learning, and they just skip that intern part and they just enter for the associate level. So that won't be a big problem if you have the knowledge. uh, Yep. As I said previously, if you're going to the industry, the qualifications you need to have are the certifications and a good GitHub profile kind of things are the things that you can stand out from others. Uh, 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 mm, mm. How to start learn IoT? IoT is a different field. Yeah, it is like if you want to go forward with AI, I would say knowing IoT is not a very big thing, but in some application you may have to use IoT. So that's kind of like a supporting it that you can have. But how to learn IoT, that's not a domain that I work a lot with. So sorry, I can't answer that question. Uh, Data science degree ka karna connect parallel karana puluhan degrees. No idea on that because I don't think parallelly doing 2 degrees is not a good idea. So I lost the place. Uh, yeah. Mm. Yeah, Microsoft's exams that I have shown you are paid. That means if you need to do the exams, you have to pay. We have get learning statistics, maths. Yeah, okay. So another thing, we have two learning paths, statistics, and the second one is stat and maths to be specialized in physical sciences, which provide mostly help to proceed with data science field. I would say going forward with statistics would help you a lot. Uh, mm, all right. Okay. So I have I want to choose between electrical engineering and computer engineering. Which field give me the highest chance to get PhD scholarship in Australia? Uh, that I'm not sure because that I'm not sure whether like the that both have the same sort of opportunities. I would say, uh, yeah, both have the same opportunities. Uh, Briefly explain about the AI in the medical industry. Yeah, yeah, that is used a lot in the medical industry, mostly in not in predictive modeling, but as an assistive way to assist for getting decisions. And mostly that health informatics and bioinformatics are the fields that are booming out right now because these drug research is going on and diagnosing towards with the data and finding the patterns of the patient data is going on, yeah, that's a very good domain to follow. uh, uh, if the person is not having a good GPA, can they apply for a master's in data science? Obviously, yes. I don't think when it comes to doing a master's in data science, they just don't look on the GPA, as I know. Yeah. Uh, yeah, recommended courses as online, as I said previously. Yeah, I would say the courses in Coursera and all. Should I start as a C and then move towards ML, or start as ML engineer? That totally depends on you. I would say if you have a passion on data science and machine learning, starting as a ML engineer would be a good idea. But there's a possibility of moving forward with just doing machine learning, just doing uh, software engineering stuff and moving forward with the ML stuff too. Uh, what would be the best way to advance NLP up to research level? Yeah, for that, up to the research level, the good idea would be, yeah, as I said previously, self-learning. And I would say to read out and do kind of like a literature survey on recent research going with NLP. AI degree in Moratuwa Uni. I haven't seen the syllabus. I have seen the syllabus, but I don't have a very good idea on that. I would say that would be a good. Is it necessary to have a MSc, PhD to go further in the industry? Is a BSc enough? I would say the basic degree would be enough, but certifications matter. MScs and PhDs are in the academic field, but in some cases, we'll say you want to go for some research scientist position or something. Definitely, they'll ask for a master's or a PhD. Uh, what is the connection between OCR and ML? Uh, yeah, OCR is optical character recognition. Yeah, OCR is using machine learning in some cases. Most of the OCR applications today we see use machine learning. Is there any publications done regarding handwritten Sinhala documents? Yeah, this is one of the most popular things that people have been working on. I haven't seen a very good implemented application on handwritten Sinhala documents, but there are some publications has been done there. AI and data science, so good job opportunities in Sri Lanka. Yeah, yeah, there are very good opportunities in Sri Lanka. Interested in sports analytics? Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's cool. So you can contact me on that. So about sports analytics. කැම්පස් එකේ data science කරන ගමන් SC intern කරන එක අමාරුයිද? Uh, yeah, you can directly message me on that. Yeah, it's a bit long answer, I would say. Uh, how to select a good research topic? That totally depends on your interest. We'll say you are interested in computer vision, so just read out, just do some Google search on what are the recent researchers going on that field, and that totally depends on your interest, not on the interest of others. Data science pathway එකට එනවා නම් software engineering degree එකද computer science degree එකද වඩාත් හොඳ? Yeah, as I said previously, මම කලින් කිව්වා වගේම ඔයා basic degree එක කරන්නේ මොකක්ද කියන එක ගොඩාක් වැදගත් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. වැදගත් වෙන්නේ මේ data science සහ machine learning කියන field එකේදී ඔයා කොච්චර ඒ තියෙන theories දැනගෙන ඉන්නවද කියන එක සහ ඒ තමන් කොච්චර ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් research කරලා තියෙනවද සහ තමන් කොච්චර ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් experiments කරලා තියෙනවද කියලා. uh, uh, will having knowledge in web development help in machine learning career? Yes, anything yeah would be good because I have seen like when I'm doing my experiments now, we might have to use some DevOps tools, even like Docker, Kubernetes, and those things. So in some cases we use Azure knowledge too, like cloud computing knowledge. So any knowledge that you have values a lot when it comes to machine learning and data science. Which one is the best TensorFlow or Python for terminal vision images classification? Totally depends on the framework fluency that you have. But I would say I have seen PyTorch is having a much more flexibility when it comes to computer vision applications. What is the difference between Python and R? What is the best? As I said previously, R has been there for a while and used by mostly the statistics, but R is having some glitches when it comes to connecting that thing with the software applications that we have today. So I would say going with Python would be a good idea, because using Python, it is pretty easy to connect that thing with real world applications that we have in normal running environments. Yeah. So that's the questions that we have. And I have my contact details here. So this is my website, haritha.me. I think I can message everyone. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Haritha. But once again, we have several questions that was also sent to us through our very own Google form.
Yeah.
I hope it's okay to ask those as well.
No worries. Yeah.
Some of those questions are pretty repetitive to the questions that you have answered so far. But since they have been directed to us, let me ask them from you.
Yep.
So the first question is, if I want to be an machine learning engineer, what education qualification should I exactly have? Online courses from Coursera enough?
I would say you like, in order to get into the industry, you might need to have a degree in some cases, but in some cases, no. If you have a good Coursera qualifications plus the knowledge, like normally, like this is what happened when you go for the interview. They normally ask, okay, do you know these concepts? Plus, do you know how to do this thing? We'll say, do you know how to build a classification model using scikit-learn? And do you know how to deploy your web service? So that's the knowledge that normally check there, not the degree.
Okay. So the next question is, for an undergraduate or a recently graduated student, how to get started with AI, machine learning, and data science?
So this question I think I have answered. Self-learning plus doing some certifications plus making your profile strong with the things like Kaggle, LinkedIn, and those things.
Okay. So the next question is about higher studies. What are the opportunities we have in Sri Lanka to do a master's or a PhD program in a foreign university, especially in a Canadian university? What are the scholarship opportunities we have in Sri Lanka, and do you have any idea about how we can apply for them?
You mean like to apply for the Canadian universities from Sri Lanka, right? Yeah.
Yes.
For that, you need to do your you need to have your uh, degree with a class mostly, and you in order to apply for Canada and the US, you have to have the English qualifications, IELTS or the TOEFL. Plus, some universities ask for GRE, graduate record examination. You have to do that examination too. And then what you have to do is write for the professors in those universities, then apply for their research positions. So that is the way you have to do.
Okay. So then we have a question. Do we need to have a knowledge in business studies to become a data scientist?
Knowledge in business studies, not a lot, but I would say in your case, you you might have to have some kind of knowledge in business, because the data that we get in some cases may be related to businesses.
Okay. When we're doing a data analysis, where can we get databases? Real world data, freely or with pay?
uh, there are many places like a wait open data repositories. uh, like there are many open data repositories out there, like uh, like this. So you can get the data from most of the places, and Microsoft is also was having some places, and data in plural, awesome public data sets, and these are very good places that you can look on for the data sets. And a very good place I would say to search on the data set is Papers with Code. In here also they mention where to find the data sets out there.
Okay. While we are moving ahead with the questions and answer session, I would also like to ask our participants to fill the feedback form we have put in the chat box. The link is in the chat box. Your feedback will be very valuable for us to do future sessions and also to develop what we are doing right now. With that being said, the last question we have is for someone who's doing a physical science degree without the statistics background. I think once again, this is a question we have already answered, but without the statistics background, how to go into the data science industry, specifically into getting a job in the data science industry?
So that is a question that I have answered before. That's all about the self-learning aspects that you have done.
Okay, so that's in the question and answer session we had for the day. Thank you so much, Mr. Haritha. It was a very productive and informative session, and I'm sure all of you would agree with me. Mr. Haritha, we are very grateful to you for taking your time out of your very busy schedule and conducting this webinar today. Once again, thank you very much. On behalf of Computer Science Students Association, I would also like to thank everyone who attended this webinar. I also thank you for your attentive participation throughout the session. Now we have reached the end of today's session. I hope all of you enjoyed and gained a lot from it and something new. Thank you all very much for joining today. Good night.